Okay, I'm Christina Pleines, and I'm a lecturer in German at the School of Languages and Applied Linguistics at the Open University. Our project was called Engaging Learners in a Language MOOC. So it initially arose from a teaching project. We were asked to set up a suite of 4 massive open online courses for German with a vocational focus for learners prior knowledge of the language, and this was funded by the European Social Fund. And I worked on producing the materials for those courses with some associate lecturers who were also teaching on our Open University modules. And once the courses were up and running, we were also the educators on these MOOCs. So I was educator, and we also had the associate lecturers who joined and who moderated the MOOCs. And we then felt that we really, this was a new type of course for us, that we really wanted to evaluate what was happening. We came up with this idea that really what we'd be interested in investigating would be peer corrective feedback. This corrective feedback is a huge field in second language learning. I mean, there is an enormous number of studies, and also in peer corrective feedback, but they're mostly classroom based. So we kind of brought together these two literatures. On the one hand, the sort of engagement with MOOCs literature, and on the other hand, the sort of more classroom based studies into peer corrective feedback. So I was involved with 3 associate lecturers. So they are Susanna Winchester, Elizabeth Clifford, and Hilary Thomas. And that collaboration worked really, really well. We had a lot of different data. So we had learner analytic data to start with. We knew how many learners, and we knew how many of them engaged, and how many engaged with activities, how many actually actively posted in forums. So we had all that learner analytic data. Then we also had from FutureLearn, they always run a pre-course and a post-course survey. So we had survey data from their survey. We also added some of our own questions to the post-course survey, although at the end it was actually the FutureLearn pre-course survey which gave us the most, relevant, some really relevant data which we included in our study. And then we also did some qualitative work, very much focused on our question, on peer corrective feedback. So we analyzed all the instances of peer corrective feedback. We went back to the forums. That was a big job. And we found the instances of peer corrective feedback, and we collected them and we categorized them. And then we also ran focus groups. Again, this course being so big, being a big advantage. So we managed to actually run 6 focus groups, and we asked general questions, how learners engaged with the MOOCs, but also our specific questions on learner attitudes to peer corrective feedback. So yes, the exciting thing for us was sort of all the tensions really we uncovered. So already from the FutureLearn pre-course survey, it asked this question, it gets learners to say, what are you expecting? Are you expecting to learn from others? And 50% of learners said, yes, we're expecting to learn from others. And it also asks, are you expecting to share your own expertise? And only 15% said they're expecting to share their own expertise. So there is already this discrepancy. Yes, they want to learn from others, but they don't really think they want to share their own expertise. And that's then something which came out in exactly that way also from our focus groups, that when we asked people about peer corrective feedback, peer feedback, they were quite willing, cautiously positive, we mostly called it, that to have feedback from their peers is quite willing, but they were not willing to give feedback themselves. And they were very, very negative about the idea of themselves giving feedback. I think it's a little bit early to determine the impact of the project. So we've disseminated the project. We went to Eurocall, which is a big conference, and we took the project there. And one of my colleagues, Hilary, presented the project there to a very interested audience and lots of positive feedback. We then also attended there the MOOC special interest group. So I think we put peer corrective feedback on the agenda of the MOOC research groups. It's something that hadn't been researched before. So it's something we managed to put on the agenda there. And we also published our conference conference contribution as a short paper. And of course, when we ran our own MOOC again, we were then very aware of the things we had found out from our studies, and we started experimenting a little bit with how we're going to steer this process of peer corrective feedback. But also, I felt I joined the sort of MOOC research community, which is I'd done research in language learning and teaching before, but not specifically into MOOCs. So I joined kind of a new community. And also that, for example, that we presented at the conference, I think got us involved in more things, because then we published that short paper, then they asked us to peer review other papers. So that got us involved in more research.